Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at the 2023 Toyota Corolla XSE hatchback. This model is finished off in Inferno. They have a starting MSRP at just over $26,000. So this Corolla is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder paired to the CVT transmission. It pumps out 169 horsepower, 151 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent to the front wheels. This weighs in just shy of 3,000 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 7.7 seconds. Top speed for the hatchback is 117 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 13.2 gallons. You'll expect to see around 30 miles per gallon in the city, 38 out on the highway. This has a wheelbase of 103.9 inches. Its overall length is 172. It has a width of 70.5, a height of 57.1, and its ground clearance measures in at 5.1 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this Corolla, let's start off with the Toyota badge front and center, because even though this is a sub $30,000 vehicle, it still gets adaptive cruise. So that sensor is built in to the Toyota badge itself, and from there the gloss black accents work its way to the headlight housings on both sides. So as you can tell, they are very slim for these LED headlights, high beams, DRLs, and turn signals, and then this even gets LED fog lights down in the lower section. So it's a beautiful design with how thin those are. It works very well for this front end. Now this also has plenty of cutouts in the lower section of the grille, and then some nice trim accents that surround the fog lights on both sides. And then there's some nice lines that run down both sides of the hood. Very subtle, but definitely give it a sporty look for this hatchback. And as we work our way to the side, this gets a set of 18-inch wheels, finished off in a dark gray, which matches very nicely with this Inferno. This has body-colored side mirrors with the turn signal. All of the window trim is blacked out. And then a really nice side design. Not too many lines to go over. A little bit of a bulge in the lower section there, and one just above that door handle up front. Nice fender flares too, but pretty subtle for the side curvature. And then as we work our way to the rear, body-colored spoiler up top with the third brake light, wiper blade in the lower section. This does get LED taillights. Very similar design to the front, just a little bit larger. So it's still thin on the inner side there, and then goes out slightly to mimic the front end very well. Backup camera is also located just underneath the Toyota badge, so it's nicely hidden out of sight. There's more gloss black in that lower diffuser there. And then to move on to the cargo space, of course you can use the button on the key fob, or you can use the one located up underneath. And there's also a lock button too. So on the far right side, you can push on this button to lock it, and then you have the release to open this up. But now with that open, for this hatchback, there's actually a good bit of space. We have the carpet lined in it right now, and if you open this up, you get a little bit of space if you wanted to use it, mainly for the spare tire kit and everything like that. But you have a good bit of space with the back seats up, and you can remove this cover too if you need to. You can fold down the back seats to give you that much more practicality. It's a very open and large space, so you can put in a lot of items, especially with the seats down, to make this a practical, smaller size hatchback. Now as we work our way to the back seats, we have a very nice interior for this model. There's leather on the armrest along with stitching, gloss black accents. This even has the JBL audio sound system, which is nice to see. And then two-tone for these Softex leather seats. And at 5'10", hopping into the back, it's a little crammed, but not too bad once you get in here. I have plenty of room for my feet and legs, storage pockets. There's also some auxiliaries too. And as far as headroom goes, maybe about an inch or so above my head, but I can sit upright and barely touch the headliner. So it is comfortable, even though it's pretty small, and we have the pillar, the roofline right here. That can fit comfortably. So it is good for full-size adults. Right in the middle, we have the armrest along with two cup holders. And then as far as visibility goes, that's probably the biggest pillar right there. But honestly, with the glass on both sides, it's been easy to see. I've been driving this for a few days now, and I really don't have any issues. You can see from the outside just how large that is, but it's really not all that bad. Now for the front door panel, just like the rear, however, we have the grab handle with the two-tone look, all of the window controls, side mirror adjustments, a little bit more storage space in that lower section. Corolla is also an illuminating badge down below. And then we have the same design for these seats. Now you get power operated seats for the driver here, or the seat, and then it's manual adjusting for that passenger seat. And then taking a look at this steering wheel now, it has a really nice design. Finished in solid leather with all the black stitching. On this left side, all these controls are for the gauge cluster. There's also volume, voice commands, and Bluetooth. On the right side, this is all of the cruise and adaptive cruise control settings, mode and tuning for the audio. Now this also has steering wheel mounted paddle shifters. As I mentioned earlier, it does have the CVT, but it also has the overdrive 10-speed, so you can use the paddle shifters as needed. But let's fire this up to go through the rest of this info. And on the gauge cluster, far left is engine temperature, fuel levels on the right side, and then right in the middle, currently we can see miles per hour along with what gear the vehicle is in, and the tach surrounds all of that information. Now in the lower half of that, currently it is on the radio, so we can monitor that. And using the buttons on the left side of the steering wheel, now we can scroll through, look at some trip information along with tire pressure, and then look at the amount of standard safety features on this. You can go through all of this, turn it on and off, just depending on what you would like to have, set it to your liking, which is awesome to see. Any messages, there's also an eco meter that you can pull up. Adaptive cruise, so you can monitor all of that, including the compass, and then we're back to the music. So not a ton of info, but it's definitely very helpful to be able to go through. Now on the left side, there's the automatic control for the headlights, dimmer switch for the gauges. Fuel cap release is located down in the footwell too. And then there's one of the JBL speakers on that A-pillar. And right in the middle, we have the touchscreen system. Now on this left side, these are all presets, so you can push on navigation to pull that up and have that system on and running. Great to see that. A lot of Toyotas do have the wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. This one actually has the navigation built in, which is nice. We have radio. You can get to your phone to pair that. If I go under vehicle, there's trip information you can monitor along with your history, just if you'd like to see that. And then you have vehicle alerts too that you can monitor. Last one is for settings. So you can go through all this information and set it up the way that you would like to. So not a ton of info, but it's very easy to go through what is available. Power and volume for the radios on that left side there. 2 air vents underneath that, and then all the climate adjustments are nicely laid out. So fan speed is right in the middle. Temperature dials for driver and passenger, which can be synced. You have defrosters too, where you'd like the air to go, AC. Very easy layout to go through. Underneath that, tucked up all the way in the back, is a wireless charging pad, and this even has heated seats with 2 different adjustments. Now, looking at the shifter, if I put this into reverse, this does get the backup camera, which is of course very helpful. And then there's also drive and the manual setting. So you can use this to shift or the paddle shifters like I mentioned earlier. And in front of the shifter, tucked away on both sides, there's traction control and then the different driving modes. So using that toggle, there's sport, normal, and eco. Mainly it's just going to adjust your throttle response for this. Now there's 2 cup holders in the middle with this area in between them, auto hold and the e-brake. For the center armrest, it is pretty small, but you do get some auxiliaries and a good bit of space for items down there, as well as the glove box too. Now there's also a USB-C down below too, so that way you can charge electronics from the passenger side. Dome lights are up top, and then a look at visibility from the driver's seat. Now you can tell it's still a bulky pillar, but from this angle, you can clearly see around it. Same with the left shoulder there, you can easily see back for any cars. As we set off now behind the wheel for this Corolla XSE hatchback, this has been a really cool vehicle to drive around for a few days. I like the fact that a hatchback does give you a lot more space. So for how small this vehicle is, it's actually pretty big on the inside. As far as interior space goes, you can fit people in the back. It's a little bit tight, but it is still doable for this sub $30,000 vehicle. And that's another thing, buying a brand new vehicle for well under 30 grand and having all this technology and everything that you need to drive this on a daily basis. You can get into this car pretty easily and have all of that. It doesn't have all the extra bells and whistles, of course, but it's just a vehicle you can get in. Toyota is extremely reliable, so this is something that you can have for several years, and I don't think it's going to be too outdated. You have what you need, which is pretty much what every vehicle is going to have as far as the navigation goes, hooking up your phone, all of the standard safety features. Some of those are going to be identical in later models, so you're really not getting something that's going to be that old. It's going to give you everything that you need for several years to come. So let's put this into the manual setting now. I actually haven't put it in sport mode yet because I wanted to get my first impressions on camera. Let's go to second gear here. This is pedal to the floor. Not that bad, to be honest. It's not a turbo engine, so we don't have that extra bit. It's not a performance-oriented vehicle. It's not trying to be. That's why you would go with the GR Corolla if you wanted that extra power. But for that, it seemed to get up and go. Even though that was pedal to the floor, I was getting high up in the red line there, but we still got up and moved. It didn't feel too underpowered, so you could definitely merge onto the highway, things like that. It doesn't seem like it's too underpowered to get up and move there. But let's talk about this sub $30,000 Corolla as far as what it's like being behind the wheel. This is a very nice vehicle to drive. I haven't had any complaints with road noise, wind noise, anything like that. I've driven this out on the highway. I've put some miles on it, of course, and I really don't have any complaints. For under 30 grand, it doesn't seem like it's at that level. It feels very composed. Well, obviously we have some plastic here and there, but we do have some nice stitching to make up for that a little bit. But it feels very solid. Really no road noise or wind noise. It's something that you could absolutely daily drive and really not have any issues with. I like the seats. They're really comfortable with the support that you get on both sides. And the ergonomics of everything is really nice too. Everything is laid out very well. And in sport mode, second gear, here we go. Pedal to the floor. I will say that the paddles are pretty responsive. For this having a CVT and the ability to switch gears, it's pretty impressive. I don't think they're going to be used a lot, but you can use them if you really need to. And then we have normal and we have eco mode. So if we put it into eco mode now and we downshift a few gears, it doesn't really seem like there's that big of a throttle difference between eco and sport mode, but you do have the option to go through those if needed. Like I mentioned earlier, this is not a performance oriented Corolla. You can go with the GR Corolla if you want that added performance and you want the manual transmission. So in this Corolla, all you have is the CVT option, which again is perfectly fine if you're not looking for performance and you just want a nice, reliable, affordable vehicle that's also pretty practical as far as the spacing goes. And visibility, like I mentioned earlier, it's so easy to see all around for this. Now, one thing I also want to mention with the fact that this is in the $26,000 to $30,000 range, really the only thing I can think of that would compete with this would be the Honda Civic hatchback. Seems to be a really nice car for what it is. Kind of a basic vehicle, but it definitely has everything that you need to drive this every day. With traffic going by, we're going at a slower rate of speed here, but it's very well insulated, like I mentioned earlier. And it's been fun to drive. I really don't have any complaints with it as far as seating position goes. Suspension is driving very nicely. There's no adjustments in that, of course, but it's been able to take bumps very well. And that's pretty much it. You get reliability, you get a really comfortable car to drive. It's practical with that hatchback versus a vehicle that has trunk space, since you can go all the way through, and it's affordable. So it's a really nice option to go with. That's going to wrap it up for the 2023 Toyota Corolla XSE hatchback. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads, and I will see you all in the next video.